there, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something really fun. We are literally decoding the matrix of critical thinking. We're going to examine this fascinating cognitive trap that honestly catches almost everyone off guard at some point. Have you ever wondered how a completely flawless argument can still be built on total lies? Well, today we're dismantling those flawlessly structured lies and learning the exact formula that disingenuous debaters use to trick you. Let's get right into it. Picture this. You're in a debate, and your opponent looks you dead in the eye and says exactly this. All mammals with whiskers can fly. Cats are mammals with whiskers. Therefore, cats can fly. Now, your gut reaction is probably just to laugh in their face, right? It creates this immediate cognitive dissonance because, obviously, cats cannot fly. The argument feels completely insane. But what if I told you that, from a purely logical point of view, the structure of that ridiculous argument is absolutely flawless? Seriously, think about this for a second. Have you ever been in an argument where you knew with absolute certainty that the other person was completely wrong, but you just couldn't figure out exactly how to prove it because their logic technically sounded perfect? It's an incredibly frustrating feeling. You find yourself trapped by a perfectly structured lie, completely unable to dismantle it in real time. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The problem. The blueprint illusion. To understand exactly why our brains get so confused when we encounter these kinds of arguments, we have to look beneath the surface at the underlying skeleton of how arguments are actually built. And that starts with this concept of validity. In the world of logic, the very first thing we check is validity. And validity is basically just a hypothetical test. When we test an argument for validity, we don't care at all if the starting points, the premises, are actually true in the real world. We're entirely ignoring reality here. We are only checking the connections to see if it is mathematically impossible to have true premises and a false conclusion. We literally just want to know, if the premises were true, would the conclusion have to logically follow? It's exactly like baking a cake. Validity, that's simply your recipe. Does the sequence of instructions make sense? If you follow the steps exactly as written, will you end up with a baked good? Now, on the flip side, we have reality. Reality is your ingredients. Whether you use fresh, delicious eggs or you decide to use completely rotten eggs is a totally different problem. Validity merely checks if the recipe works. You can follow a perfectly valid recipe using completely rotten ingredients, and you will successfully bake a terrible, rotten cake. Let's look at another classic example to really hammer this home. Premise 1, all cats are evil. Premise 2, Garfield is a cat. Conclusion, therefore, Garfield is evil. Now, it may or may not be true that all cats are evil. That's highly debatable depending on who you ask, but honestly, that's entirely irrelevant here. Let's look at the structure. The entire category of cats fits perfectly inside a larger category labeled evil, and since Garfield fits inside the cat category, he must mathematically be inside the evil category. The structure is perfectly valid, even if the real-world facts are entirely made up. Which brings us to Section 2, the agitation, the toothpick bridge. Because this isn't just about silly examples with flying cats and evil Garfield, right? This is about how manipulators weaponize this exact difference between validity and truth against critical thinkers every single day. If you don't understand the difference between validity and truth, you're going to be easily fooled into thinking an argument is strong when the premises actually provide zero support in reality. Think about it this way. You wouldn't drive your car across a bridge made of toothpicks, no matter how perfectly those toothpicks were glued together. The structure might be an absolute marvel of engineering, but the foundational material is incredibly weak. A valid argument built on fake facts is exactly that, a toothpick bridge. It looks incredibly sturdy right up until it meets reality. So the crucial point here is that there are two massive traps waiting for you in any debate. On one side, we have the flying cat. This is what we just learned about. It's a structurally valid argument that relies on completely fake facts. But on the other side, we have something even more insidious, the flying penguin. This is when an opponent uses a completely broken logical structure, but they dress it up with 100% true facts. Let's break down this flying penguin trap. Premise 1, some birds can fly. Premise 2, penguins are birds. Conclusion, therefore, penguins can fly. At first glance, your brain probably says, yeah, that sounds totally reasonable. Why? Because manipulators confidently use objectively true statistics. Is it true some birds fly? Yes. Are penguins birds? Yes. Both starting points are objectively true. But look at the conclusion. It doesn't follow. That little word some completely shatters the logical chain. Just because penguins belong to the bird category doesn't mean they belong to the flying subcategory. If you aren't trained to spot the broken structure, you'll believe a lie simply because the initial statistics were true. So time for a cynical, rapid-fire reality check. Neither facts nor logic can ever stand alone. A perfectly logical-sounding argument can be built on total lies, like our flying cat. And a terrible, manipulative argument can be built using 100% true facts, like our flying penguin. Logic without reality is just a fairy tale, and facts without logic, that's just noise. All right, how do we fix this? Section 3, the solution, the soundness checklist. Now that we've seen how easy it is to be manipulated by both the recipe and the ingredients, we need to introduce the absolute gold standard of critical thinking, a standard that effortlessly outsmarts both the flying cat and the flying penguin. To truly win a debate, you need to upgrade from mere validity to soundness. Soundness is the ultimate requirement for any genuine argument. It is the combination of a perfectly valid mathematical structure plus every single premise being factually true in the actual real world. You need airtight logic and you need undeniable reality. You literally can't have one without the other. So here is the specific two-step framework you absolutely must deploy the next time someone throws a complex argument your way. Step 1, check the blueprint. Is it valid? For just 1 second, ignore reality and look strictly at their structure. If their premises were true, does the conclusion follow? If the answer is no, stop right there. You don't even need to fact-check them. The argument is automatically unsound. But if it passes step 1, then you move to step 2, fact-check the foundation. This is where you bring reality back into the equation. Are these starting points objectively true in the real world? Only when an argument passes both steps can you accept it. And this is your exact psychological cheat code. The next time a manipulator tries to use complex, valid logic to sell you a lie built on fake facts, you stop them, look them dead in the eye, and use this script. Your logical structure is technically valid, but your foundational facts are completely made up. Let me know when you want to build a real bridge instead of one made out of toothpicks. Try it. Watch their entire debate strategy completely vaporize in real time. We've covered exactly how the underlying skeleton of an argument works and why both logic and facts are required for a truly sound point. So I want to leave you with this final thought to apply to your everyday intellectual battles. When you listen to the news or read an article or argue with a colleague, are you systematically separating the recipe from the ingredients? Or are you still buying flying cats? Keep this framework in mind, demand both validity and truth, and you'll never be fooled by a flawlessly structured lie again. But it does make you wonder, what other hidden logical traps are hiding in the news you read every single day? Stay curious.